Comparing retirement strategies with and without an income annuity. All right, so this is very interesting to me. And I was just revisiting an old article from Kitces back in 2013, a rising equity glide path. I'm not going to get that here today, but well, maybe I will. But hold on, I got to sneeze. Hold on a second. I got to stop sniffing the table. Just sneeze. Woo, man. All right. So anyway, the point being is that what Kitces was talking about is says, hey, look, man, basically at the end of the day, we're going to have you have a bunch of cash and then stocks, essentially a barbell. He's not looking at it the same way I do, but the premise is similar. We're going to spend down your cash to allow you to capture more of the upside of the markets as opposed to having like a 60-40 portfolio where you're spending it down and rebalancing and all that stuff. We're taking a proportional amount of the stocks and the bonds. He said, no, what we're going to do is have a bunch of cash, spending down the cash. That way you're not touching your stocks and you get more and more stock exposure, which stocks tend to grow more than they fall. So over the course of your lifetime, you'll have more exposure to stocks. And if we look historically speaking, that has proven to be very beneficial. 100%. My barbell is a little bit different. I say, hey, we got the stocks and the cash, but instead of just taking the cash initially, we take the stocks if the stocks are up, essentially taking the gains, and we take the cash if the stocks are down. And we never rebalance. Very similar strategy here, very similar, the barbell and the equity glide path. But then I just started thinking my lunk of coal up here to quote Norm Coleman. Norm Coleman. No, that was the old senator from Minnesota. Norm Macdonald. Jeez Louise and Blue. This is how political of a junkie I am. Norm Coleman, the guy who got snaked by, what was his name? Al Franken. Yeah, Al Franken. They knew how to count the votes, you know what I'm saying. Anyway, so what we're going to do here instead is we're going to use Diane's sample. All right, so old Diane's got $1 million schmackaroonies, and you can see she got $1 million, and right now it's invested in a 51-49 portfolio, 51 stocks, 49 bonds. We'll show you what she's got, and we have right here. So she got, this is the way she's broken down. Some internationals, not much, some equities, some bonds, a little bit of cash and whatnot. And we're expecting a 5.1% expected rate of return with an 8.9% standard deviation. All right. So again, what that means is basically we'll make this 9. So that's 27. 9 times 3 is 27 minus 5.15. So basically within 99.8% of the time, we'd expect the portfolio to return no worse than negative 22. All right, so we expect we'd have no negative 23, no negative 24. The worst case scenario with a 99.8% parameters would be negative 22. All right, hope that makes sense. So what we're going to do here is we're going to say, okay, Diane, you're going to need $4,000 a month. Where's right here? Goals. You're going to need, $50,000 a year, a 5% reduction or 5% withdrawal rate, and we're going to inflate it each and every year until you're 75. Then we'll drop it by 10%. And we'll inflate it each and every year until you're 85 and drop it by 10% again. All right. So what we're doing, we're using a 3% inflation, just FYI. And we're going to have her retiring for 25 years. She'll be alive for 25 years. All right, everybody with me? Everybody with me? So we're going to go over here to retirement. And we're going to get a 58% probability of success. All right. You can see right here, and the median liquid net worth she leaves is $58,000. All right. So basically, she's spending 5% a year, inflated at 3% each and every year until she's 70. Let me just show you. Actually, you'll see it. And we'll go to cash flows. La 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 la. So 50,000, 51, 53. You can see right here. 69,000. So it went from 50 to 69 over the course from she's 63 years old until she's 75 years old. And then it was up to 69. Then we're dropping it by 10% essentially. And now it's $60,000. All right. And then it's going up again, up again, up again, up again, up again. And then when she's 85, we're dropping it by another 10% essentially until she's dead at 87. So we got 25 years in here. All right. 25 years of experience. And she runs out of money 42% of the time. If we go back to analysis, we see, okay, right here. And our confidence, you can see it's just drawing down a portfolio. And right here is when 25% of the time, when she's 84 years old, she has nothing left. But 25% of the time, she has $400,000 as well when she's 84. And that's in today's dollars, by the way. And if you want to, say change over a little, just throw a guardrail on there. And this isn't what the premise of this video is, but I just want to kind of show you. And the guardrail says, hey, we throw a guardrail on there and she's not run out of money. Now, a guardrail isn't as fancy schmancy, good time rock and roll as you like to believe. That does mean you're going to have to cut your spending down. If we go over here with a guardrail, you can see sometimes her 50,000 still at 55,000 here, so you don't see quite the same level of inflated increases, but 52,000 here. All right, so you don't see quite the same level, and you see 51,000. So basically, the guardrail, anytime the portfolio falls pretty considerably, she's going to have to basically take a pay cut, essentially. Nothing inherently wrong with that, but it's not the same spending as what the other scenario was. So let me just show you what I'm talking about in that regard. We use a guardrail. I mean, you use it 100% of the time. You're going to use it. You're going to say, when 2008 came along, you're not going to do the same spending as you would. I just don't understand why people don't understand this. All right, so we're going to go right here, total spending comparison. You'll see she spent, without the guardrail, $1.13 million. With the guardrail, $975,000. All right, so not a significant difference. You can make an argument it has $200,000 or something like that. Yeah, okay, whatever. But let's not even use the guardrail. So we're just going to pretend the guardrail doesn't exist. All right, and we're just going to look. I get the guardrail. I don't want to use it unless we have to. I mean, there might be a time we really need it. So she's going to end up spending $1.136 million. Now, what happens if we make the portfolio less? So we're going to do. So I went over to USAA and I said, we need $30,000 a year from an annuity. It's going to cost us $482,000 for Diane to get a guaranteed income annuity. So check this out. So what I've done here is I added the $2,500 a month for an income annuity, and then what we also did is we came back to net worth and we reduced the $1 million by the $482,000 that she put in. All right, now on top of that, what we're going to do is we're going to make this portfolio more aggressive. We're going to make this an 80-20 portfolio. All right, so we're going to use an 80-20, which I got in here someplace. Oh, right there, 80-20. Yeah, okay. No, that's not what I wanted. I want an 80-20. Oh, right here. It's the aggressive 80-20. There we go. All right, so basically what we're doing is we're basically saying we're going to take some of the bonds off the table because we have the income annuity instead, and we're going to make our portfolio a lot more aggressive. All right, so here's where we were before. We were in right there at 51.49, and here's where we are now. So before we had a 5.1% expected rate of return with an 8.9% standard deviation. Now we have a 5.6% expected rate of return, so a 10% annual increase compounded with a 13.2% standard deviation. All right, so 13.2 and 5.6, what that simply means is 13 times 13, or 13 plus, that's 39 minus 5. So in any given year, we'd expect to be down no greater than 34%, whereas I think before it was 22. So we've changed our downside mechanism from negative 22 to negative 34. We've also increased our upside potential as well. That's the thing with standard deviation. It's not just downside, it's also upside capture. All right, so what that means is we'll have more upside as well. So now let's take a look and see what we're doing here. So we go to retirement, and we're going to go back to singing, blah. Oh, we got to change down here. Hold on a second. And we're going to go back to singing Smurfs, blah, 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 blah. And you can see right here, we went, I forgot what we had before. Is 56, I can't remember. Now we have 56% probability of success. Was last time 58? 56% probability of success. And you can see, same kind of thing. When we're hit right there at 82, 83 years old, before it's 84, that's when 25% of the time we ran out of money, but we still have 330% of the money, dollars, on 25% of the time as well. And our median is 114 at that point. So the question, this is the thing, man. The question is, are you really doing a big trade-off? Let me go back here. Are we really doing a big trade-off by annuitizing? And we're just not. We're not reducing our probability of success very much. We're reducing our liquid portfolio that we leave a little bit, but is that really what your goals are? On top of that, let me show you something here, man. You can see income sources. Look at this. Proposed plan. See, that's our annuity. You can see the annuity is going down because of non-inflation adjustment. But watch this. This is the big withdrawal rate from proposed. It's low. It's 4%, 4.2, 4.2, 4.5. You can see right there it's getting higher because the annuity income in terms of inflation is being reduced. But here at 7.22 when we're 74, and then it drops because we do the retirement spending stages. And when we're 84 years old, it's 11.5%. But then it drops because we're doing retirement income stages. So you see that? Does that make sense? Now we go to total spending comparison. Should be the same, 1.136. Yeah, it's the same. Yeah, hardly any taxes to pay. But because you have an income annuity, and we got her living in Georgia, which has to pay a little bit of tax, I suppose. But anyway, look at that. 1 point. So I'm just like, and then if we actually look at our cash flows, watch what happens here, man. You got 30,000 as your base. 30,000 as your base. You only need to take 22,000 a year from your portfolio, which is only a 4% withdrawal amount. Whereas before, let me show you. Whereas before, you're taking out, watch this, 4.76, 4.9, 5, 5, 5. You see what I'm saying? So we're getting higher and higher, whereas before we weren't getting so high. And I just think as from a cash flow perspective, I would think I'd be a lot more concerned with, you can see right here, we're taking 50,000 out of $1 million portfolio, whereas before we're taking, 20,000 out of a $500,000 portfolio. That might not seem like a big difference, but it can be, especially when the markets are going crazy. You see what I'm saying? If you look at your confidence here. Anyway, the point being is, I think of a lot of times, like when I retire, what am I going to do? And I just like the idea of having that guaranteed income stream from an annuity that I can't outlive. Does it change much? I think it can. I think it can change a lot. Why? Because I can say at the end of the day, I can take more risk with the remainder of my portfolio, even though I've taken a lot out of that account. Anyway, something to think about. Love your thoughts. Smash that like button. God bless, and we'll see you.